What is everybody doing this morning? Come on in. What is up? What is up? Thursday. Happy Thursday. Happy post-birthday to Karen Reed. So come on in here. Boom, Matt McCabe, I'm coming after your ass. Do me a favor, thumbs up, share it, like it. I'm going to be using Hector. I'm going to be using Excel. I'm going to be breaking it down that based off of the trial one and the testimony. And then when you compare that to the data, it's all bullshit. So let's first do the first bullshit bomb is here it is. Matt McCabe saying, yo, I slept in my bed, baby. I slept in my bed. We'll give a shout out to the DUI guy.
Jen. So when I woke up, I thought there was somebody in my bedroom. I kind of snapped up out of bed. What the hell's going on? Looking around the room, realized my wife was actually on the phone.
And
right there, gotcha, buddy. Okay, so gonna play that little clip again. We all love it.
Oh, what a tangled web we weave. When first we practice, we deceive.
Again, good morning.
That's all I think. I consider Gilbert's in the process.
I do.
Thanks, Crazy Old Fart. And Ali Riddle, thanks for joining on as a member. Welcome to the channel.
There you go. Giving DUI guy a shout out. This is Lally just lollygagging.
Lally, whenever you're ready.
God, yeah.
Look at him.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for reminding me.
Good morning, sir.
Snacking.
Good morning.
where left off yesterday, you had gone to bed on the 28th, correct?
Yes, that's correct. Friday night.
And at some point you woke up on the later in the morning on the 29th, correct?
Yes, Saturday morning.
And
The
do you
screams.
recall, sir, what woke you on that one?
Yes, I do.
What was that, sir?
I awoke to the screaming of Jen. So when I woke up, I thought there was somebody in my bedroom. Kind of snapped up out of bed. What the hell's going on? Looking around the room, realized my wife was actually on the phone.
And the screaming that you heard, how loud?
It was loud enough to wake me up from a dead sleep. I could hear it. It was loud. Obviously, I was laying in bed and realizing after my wife was laying right next to me.
We're continuing the
on the phone.
reconciliation.
See right there how he has to like emphasize. My wife was laying right next to me. I was in bed. Obviously, I was in bed. My wife was laying right next to me. Boom, lies. Okay. First of all, people don't say that. Okay. But now let's go to the sheet. All right. This is really, really important because what he says he heard, because he had personal knowledge, because he could hear this shit. Okay. I am able to prove that that phone was not upstairs at 4:53 a.m. That phone was not upstairs at 4:54, 4:55, 4:56, 4:57, 4:58, 4:59, 5 o'clock, 5:01, all the way down to that phone does not go upstairs until 5:32 and 16 seconds. Which is huge for Karen Reed. I mean, literally huge for Karen Reed. Okay. This is very, very important for Karen Reed.
But it was a loud Jen. It was repetitive.
Okay. All right.
Do you know approximately what time that was?
Yeah, shortly before 5 a.m.
I got you, you fat fuck. Shortly before 5 a.m. Oh, was it? Okay, good. Thank you. Okay, listen. Let's start the shot. Everybody. You guys, I'm so jacked for Karen Reed 2.0. This is absurd. Okay? This is absurd. This is huge for Karen Reed. Get her this information.
And did you recognize the voice that you heard screaming?
I did not recognize the voice.
And as far as that phone conversation went on for, well, let me ask you this first. As far as that phone conversation was concerned, could you hear both sides of that conversation?
Yes, I could.
How could you hear that, Mr. McCabe? If you were in your bedroom and the phone was downstairs, how could you hear that? Everybody, shots.
On the other end, correct?
Correct.
And eventually, were you able to recognize or identify the voice on the other end of your wife's conversation?
Yes, I asked my wife, what the hell is going on? After I woke up and popped up, looking around the room to find out who's in my bedroom, assuming it was a kid, one of my kids screaming. I asked my wife, what is going on? And I could hear her saying, I'm on the phone with Karen. She can't find John.
And from the course of that conversation continues while you were in your bedroom, is that correct?
Yeah, that conversation continued for a couple minutes. I could hear the dialogue. And then again, right back to Jen, the repeating of my wife's name.
Okay, none of this occurred, guys. There's now undisputed evidence that this did not occur. And he's emphasizing he's in his bed. This is why it's so important. He's in his bed. He's in his bed. He wakes up out of a deep sleep.
Name again.
As far as the dialogue was concerned, specifically from the defendant Ms. Reed's perspective, what, if anything, do you recall about that?
She didn't know where John was, and the last time she saw him was at the Waterfall.
And about how long did that initial phone call?
So all of this, guys, this will never make it into trial too if you do the right thing. Okay?
Well, that initial conversation between the wife and the defendant. Go on.
From when I woke up, minute and a half, 2 minutes. I don't know the exact time.
Minute and a half from when I woke up. 4:53 o'clock. 4:53. Jennifer McCabe does not move. Okay. Jennifer McCabe does not move. Phone's downstairs.
And after
Give or take.
you recall how that conversation ended, did your wife hang up or?
Yes, they hung up the phone.
Oh, wow. Sure, number 13.
I was laying in
This
the
is
bed.
Huge.
My wife was next to me,
Thanks for the intel.
and I think my wife immediately called somebody else, was calling friends that lived near the Waterfall that happened to be out that evening. And she started making those phone calls.
Right there. Then this is where he says that his wife started making a phone call to people. Listen to what he's saying here. This is the 4:55 a.m. phone call. Okay. 4:55 to Julie Albert from Jennifer McCabe's phone.
And as your wife was making those phone calls, what, if anything, did you say to her? Objection.
That was the only call. Because you go to the phone records, which I'm going to show, but I'm trying to just refresh your guys' memory with what he's saying here. All of this is lies. Except for, yes, they do call Julie Albert at 4:55 in the morning.
Anything did he say to her?
Yes.
No, I'm not going to let you testify to that. Next question.
With respect to the defendant's statement the last time she saw,
With the defendant's statement of when the last time that she saw John O'Keefe. Okay. This is where this huge big lie is coming from.
Mr. O'Keefe was at the Waterfall. What, if anything, occurred to you in reference to that?
In reference to her saying she last saw him at the Waterfall, I then told my wife, what are you talking about?
So that's not what you said, sir, but I think Mr. Larry asked you what you thought. Got it. Yeah.
I thought she was crazy.
Boom!
Because
Right
I saw
there.
the vehicle. I saw the black SUV arrive to the 34th Fairview that morning.
I saw it arrive. I saw it arrive. Not that it just appeared, you guys. I saw it arrive. Okay? I saw it arrive. This is really, really important. Okay? He's like, she's crazy. I saw the vehicle arrive. Okay?
So you had overheard the conversation from Mr. O'Keefe to your wife the night previous, correct?
That's correct.
I overheard the conversation
And so what happened then?
from the previous night with his you overheard the conversation with your wife and John O'Keefe from the previous night, speaking about the 12:18 phone call. Okay. which I will prove here today that Matt McCabe, Jennifer leaves that car. Jennifer, wherever she was, she gets up and starts walking 3 seconds into that phone call. So if she has the phone with her, he ain't overhearing shit. Okay. But what I was able to do is isolate the iPhone, and I'm able to prove now even more so because I stayed up last night and did some crazy shit. And I'm able to prove that, in fact, Jen, the iPhone stops making movement and walking when Jen is still moving after the phone call, which then tells anybody that's an analyst that that phone was not moving when Jen was moving for those 26 seconds before, because then the phone would have kept on with the ticker. And I'll show you guys. So again, this is just to remind you guys of the testimony.
I told my wife, "What are you talking about?" She was at.
I
Not
told
what
my
you said to your wife.
All right, sorry.
It's hard. Ask the questions too early so that you can answer it properly.
Come on, Lally.
Your wife made some phone calls in your presence, correct?
Control your.
Yes, she did.
Did your wife make some phone calls in your presence? Yes, she did.
And following those phone conversations, what many other conversations did you have with the defendant?
There were multiple calls. I don't recall what calls were made, what time, but the next call,
Probably.
we were informing the defendant that, wait, we saw your car. We saw you come to 34 Fairview. You guys were there. And I heard the response of, I don't remember.
Okay, boom. Yeah. Okay, now we're going to go to Karen Reed's phone calls and logs with Jennifer McCabe that morning. And these are okay, go to Hecky. And remember, he's overhearing this supposedly, so I'll come right back to this. I want to bring in Hector. And to show you guys, this is crazy talk. Okay. 5:05 in 1 second. So remember the 4:53 call? That was from Kaylee's phone. So again, this is Karen Reed's. So outgoing. So Karen Reed to Jennifer McCabe at 5:05 in 1 second. See how it wasn't answered? 0. Jen McCabe to Karen Reed, 5:05 in 14 seconds for 43 seconds. It's really important to see these times. The phone does not go upstairs until right here. So all of this is all when that phone is on the first floor. No doubt about it. Sorry, kiss my ass. So I want you guys to see that none of this could have been overheard from Matt McCabe laying in bed with Jen because that phone's downstairs. Okay. So again, Karen Reed to Jen, 5:16, and this is the durations, which is 43 seconds, 157 seconds. So now let's go back to I did contact the defense. I contacted the defense. And they can reach out to me if they want me to delete it and so that nobody knows about anything, sure. But I'm doing all that I can. I most certainly contacted the defense. Oh, shit.
I don't remember going there.
And what any other conversation do you recall in those subsequent phone conversations that you overheard from them?
At some moment, as I said, my wife had made a couple phone calls. And one of the calls with Karen Reed, she blurted that she broke her taillight, cracked her taillight, something to that effect. While Jen and I were still in the bedroom. And she was
Yes! Gotcha, you fucker!
The screaming of Jen.
Yes! While me and Jen were still in the bedroom, Karen Reed saying something to the effect of my taillight. Get fucked, you lying sack of shit! Woo! Come on, you nutty! Get this fat fuck. Sorry, I'm just so hyped for this, man. This is sickening. This is sick. You are a liar.
Jen. So when I woke up, I thought there was somebody in my bedroom. I kind of snapped up out of bed. What the hell's going on? Looking around the room, realized my wife was actually on the phone.
And the screaming that you heard, how loud?
It was loud enough to wake me up from a dead sleep. I could hear it. It was loud. Obviously, I was laying in bed and realizing after my wife was laying right next to me.
We're continuing the
on the phone.
explanation.
But it was a loud Jen. It was repetitive.
Okay, all right.
Do you know approximately what time that was?
Yeah, shortly before 5 a.m.
Boom.
And did you recognize the voice that you heard screaming?
I did not recognize the voice.
And as far as that phone conversation went on for, well, let me ask you this first. As far as that phone conversation was concerned, could you hear both sides of that conversation?
Yes, I could.
And that was based on the volume of the person speaking on the other end, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, the volume of the phone, you guys. The volume of the phone that's not upstairs. And the Patriots win. Tom Brady's done it again. Peyton Manning's back.
And eventually, were you able to recognize or identify the voice on the other end of your wife's conversation?
Yes, I asked my wife, what the hell is going on? After I woke up and popped up, looking around the room to find out who's in my bedroom, assuming it was a kid, one of my kids screaming. I asked my wife, what is going on? And I could hear her saying, I'm on the phone with Karen. She can't find John.
And from the course of that conversation continues while you were in your bedroom, is that correct?
Yeah, that conversation continued for a couple minutes. I could hear the dialogue. And then again, right back to Jen, the repeating of my wife's name again.
You guys.
As far as the dialogue was concerned, specifically from the defendant.
The 4:53 phone call lasted just 60 to 90 seconds. 4:53. Jen's phone then makes a call at 4:55 a.m. to Julie Albert. Right? Is that right?
From Ms. Reed's perspective, what if anything do you recall about that?
She didn't know where John was, and the last time she saw him was at the Waterfall.
And about how long did that initial phone call or that initial conversation between the wife and the defendant go on?
From when I woke up, minute and a half, 2 minutes. I don't know the exact time.
And after,
Give or take.
you recall how that conversation ended? Did your wife hang up or?
Yes, they hung up the phone.
Oh, wow. Sure, number 13.
Right there.
Huge.
Right
My
there,
wife was
guys.
next to me.
Thanks for the intel.
They hung up the phone. My wife's laying right next to me in the bed. Okay. So this can't be, she answered it from her watch. Okay. My wife, they hung up the phone. My wife's laying right there in bed with me. Ah, yeah, you son of a bitch. God, you're such a fuck. I love it. Look at you, baby. Dig deep for this answer, baby. You coming for that ass, Matt? House Long to Die was Googled by Matt McCabe. House Long to put all of this together. Matt McCabe running this motherfucker.
And I think my wife immediately called somebody else, was calling friends that lived near the waterfall.
See, immediately. My wife then immediately called somebody else. That's the 4:55 phone call to Julie Albert, okay? And listen, my wife immediately makes a phone call to friends of ours that live right by the waterfall. Okay, remember? Chris Albert walked home that night.
Happened to be out that evening. And she started making those phone calls.
And as your wife was making those phone calls, what, if anything, did you say to her? Objection.
What, if anything, did he say to her?
Yes.
No, I'm not going to let you testify to that. Next question.
Hold on, I want you guys to hear
With
this right
respect
here.
to the defendant's statement of last time,
Immediately called somebody else, was calling friends that lived near the waterfall that happened to be out that evening. And she started making those phone calls.
and as your wife was making those phone calls, what, if anything, did you say to her? Objection.
What, if anything, did he say to her?
Yes.
No, I'm not going to let you testify to that. Next question.
With respect to the defendant's statement that last time she saw Mr. O'Keefe was at the waterfall, what, if anything, occurred to you in reference to that?
In reference to her saying she last saw him at the waterfall, I then told my wife, what are you talking about?
So I'll not what you said, sir, but I think Mr. Riley asked you what you thought. Gathered from that.
I thought she was crazy
And why was it?
because I saw her vehicle I saw the black SUV arrive to the 34 Fairview that morning.
Because Matt was where? You saw the vehicle arrive because you were still in the car, right, Matt? And now he's not saying that he just looked out the window, right? He saw it arrive. In order to see it arrive, yeah, could you be inside? But you'd still have to see it arrive. And that's a different statement than I looked out and saw the vehicle. And then I looked out again and I saw again. He physically saw this car arrive. Okay?
So you had overheard the conversation from Mr.
And so he's saying this in bed to Jen to say, she's crazy. I saw her arrive to 34 Fairview.
Was you to your wife the night previous, correct?
That's correct.
And so what happened then?
I told my wife, what are you talking about?
Okay.
She was at,
It's not what you said to your wife.
all right, sorry.
It's hard. Ask the questions to Lily so that he can answer it properly.
Come on,
So
Lally.
your wife made some phone calls in your presence, correct?
Control your
Yes, she did.
And following those phone conversations, what many other conversations did you have with the defendant?
There were multiple calls. I don't recall what calls were made, what time, but the next call,
Probably.
we were informing the defendant that, wait, we saw your car. We saw you come to 34 Fairview. You guys were there. And
We were informing the defendant on the next call. So like after they would have hung up with the first call that he's saying happened at 4:53, the next call then, just so we're aware, is at 5:05 and 14 seconds for 43 seconds. And we're making the defendant aware in bed that she arrived and she came to 43 Fairview. Okay. So then at 5:05, if you made her aware of this, then ready? Because this is important that this is a lie. Because Lally goes on to say how then Karen Reed went and drove basically to 34 Fairview because it doesn't take that long to get to Jen McCabe's house. So what was she out doing? And this is very important because this is what's giving some credence to why, if we're telling her, no, you went to 34 Fairview, this is why Karen then would have gotten her vehicle at 5:08 and left and went to 34 Fairview. All right. But this is all lies. Okay. All of this is lies. And you have to be able to prove that it's a lie. So you need to prove that Matt McCabe says he's upstairs in his bed. Okay. Well, that phone ain't upstairs. That phone is downstairs. And it does not come upstairs until 5:38 a.m. Okay. And this is very important. So you would have never been able to inform the defendant from bed prior to 5:08 until 5:38 comes along and the phone had been walked upstairs by the watch wearer when they come downstairs and then they get the phone and go upstairs. Okay. Or the watch wearer was downstairs the whole time after 2:37 a.m. But it's really, really important to show that Karen Reed couldn't have been told that information prior to her arrival at 5:38 when she's arriving at Jennifer McCabe's house. And that's why she calls her to tell her that she's there. She's not screaming outside and he has to run outside or go get her outside and tell her to shut up because she's going to wake up the neighbors and making a scene. This guy is a piece of shit. But you have to prove that he's a piece of shit with the digital evidence. And so you need an expert that is going to put a timeline together to show that what Matt is saying couldn't have happened in the bedroom of the McCabe's residence.
I heard the response of, I don't remember. I don't remember going there.
And what any other conversation do you recall in the subsequent phone conversations that you overheard from?
At some moment, as I said, my wife had made a couple phone calls. In one of the calls with Karen Reed, she blurted that she broke her taillight, cracked her taillight, something to that effect, while we were, while Jen and I was still in the bedroom, and she was on the phone.
And
Where does he say he was? Well, Jen and I were still in the bedroom, and Jen was on the phone. Impossible. Impossible, you little fat fuck. I love it. This should be enough evidence to get. I'm sorry, but it should be a motion rule 17 to get Matt's CDRs. I mean, this testimony here, guys, during the trial, you have to think about it from a juror standpoint. Why would this guy lie about this type of? Why would this guy lie about this? Why would he lie about this? A juror's thinking like, God, yeah, the guy just gets woken up and he's like, what the hell? I think the bitch is crazy. What the fuck's she talking about? Okay. And saying this stuff, which is crushing Karen Reed's character. Okay. And truly what happened. Because let's say that Karen Reed said all those things, guys. It is impossible that it happened while those two fucking idiots are in a bedroom laying in bed together at, upstairs. That did not happen. Now, why ever would Jen and Matt sleep on the couch that night? Or why wouldn't they ever go up to their bedroom that night? CDR are call detail records. They're called call detail records. Call detail records are what you get from the provider, and it's so that you can see all the calls incoming and outgoing. But more importantly, you can also get cell site, like where they were, like what towers they were peeing off of. Okay, now.
As your wife, when you were in the bedroom and your wife was on the phone, what, if anything, were the two of you do?
After my wife had made a few calls, we were completely confused on where the hell John was. The thought process in our head at that moment was we knew that John had mentioned that he was potentially going to be meeting up with another person. So we called that individual, my wife called that individual to see if by chance, again, confused, left at the Waterfall. We saw them at the house. Did John not go with her? Did what happened? Did he get out of the car? Did he go somewhere else? So we...
Yeah, you guys, this is exactly. Did he get out of the car? Did he go somewhere else? Now think about what Lana's trying to get all you guys getting to go. Did John get out of the car? Where did John possibly get out of the car at? Did Karen and John get into it and then they got out of the car? Did he... But the person that they call, you guys, because John's saying that he's going to go meet up with, they call the Alberts. They call Julie and Chris Albert. That's that phone call at 4:55. Okay. And that's who he supposedly was going to go meet up with. Now I want you to think about this. Was John going to meet up with Chris Albert back at his house with Higgins? Because, hey, I'll go walk and go get the stuff. Guys, come back and pick me up. I'll get, no, I don't want everybody coming to the D&E to blow coke up in there. So I'll go get the stuff, swing back by. My son's over there at 34 Fairview. Grab him, give him a ride home, and then I'll hop in with, but you guys are going to come back over to the condo to pick me up. Because we're going to go, we're doing the partying. Like the cocaine, baby. Okay? So when Kaylee calls from her phone to Jen's and they have this call that does not happen in a bedroom, okay, at 4:55 or 4:53 in the morning, immediately they call and I want to use the word they. So let me back that up and say Jen's phone from downstairs calls Julie Albert at 4:55 in the morning.
Proceeded to call a couple other people that we thought he possibly might have met up with, another individual.
From those other phone calls that you observed your wife making at any point in time, other than a conversation with the defendant, did you observe her to have any conversation with anybody?
You're asking if my wife did?
What I'm asking is not to any content or anything like that, but your wife made phone calls, correct?
That is correct.
When she made those phone calls, did you observe her conversing with anybody on the phone?
No, she did not speak to anybody. Nobody answered any of our calls.
And then so I went to Jen McCabe's outgoing calls and the deleted ones. Okay. And so during that time frame, if you then look at here's Jen McCabe's outgoing calls between 5 o'clock in the morning. So 5 a.m. and let's just say we'll go with 5:38, 5:40. She makes at 5:33 one call that was not to John or Karen Reed or Julie Albert. And at 5:33, okay, at 5:33, this would have been after the phone is then brought back upstairs after Matt does his little shindig, what he was doing downstairs with that phone. I'm sorry, from 4:53, 4:55 until it goes. Jen then comes downstairs with her little watch because the watch and the phone go back upstairs together at 5:38, or I'm sorry, 5:32. And then at 5:33 and 47 seconds, she calls Tom Beatty, Beatty, because what I believe transpired is, I don't know. I mean, see, Karen can't ever, I don't know if she's going to testify or not, but I don't know. I was downstairs making us coffee and getting up for the morning, and because Matt is going to act like, oh, I get up early in the mornings, blah blah blah. But here he doesn't say that. He's testifying a different way than truly what happened that day. All right, but the only call there's one, and it is Tom Beatty, and that's not till 5:33, and that's after Karen Reed is already at their house. Woo-hoo-hoo! Daddy. Okay, so then we're gonna get in some bombs today, guys. I'm just gonna blow it up off the roof. Okay, so the only phone call he's referring to cover up for the 4:55 phone call is the Julie Albert phone call. And they were never out with Tom Beatty that night and doesn't live by the Waterfall. Okay, so he couldn't be talking about him, but he's getting ahead of the whole 4:55 phone call and why they would have ever made that phone call. Okay. But remember, Jennifer McCabe says, I did not make that phone call. I don't remember making that phone call. I must, Jen McCabe didn't make the phone call. Matt did.
And at some point, did you yourself reach out to Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes, I did.
And how did you do that?
I know I texted him, and I think I called him as well. Pretty much, where the hell are you? I think it was when Karen Reed and my wife were leaving my house. I think I responded, where the hell are you? Now Karen and Jen are out looking for you.
And in regards to those text messages, did you receive any response from Mr. O'Keefe?
I did not.
And with regard to those, you had Mr. O'Keefe programmed into your phone, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
You would have prior conversations with him via text message and phone using that number that you would program into your phone.
Yes.
So no response to the text as far as the phone call that you placed with Mr. O'Keefe. Did you answer? Did you speak with him at all?
I did not speak to Mr. O'Keefe.
So you didn't call Mr. O'Keefe from the time of getting supposedly woke up out of your bed like a lunatic, right? Until after they went out looking for him? Like, wouldn't that be the first phone call that you made? If someone said they can't, okay, well, I'll call him because maybe he's not answering it because it's her. He doesn't want to talk to her. So I'll call. Okay. But Matt McCabe doesn't do that. That's what anybody would do. But Matt McCabe doesn't do that. But Jen, well, he's acting like he doesn't. He's acting here like he didn't do it. Like, that I didn't send a text until after they had left. Okay. Well, then you go into and you look at the deleted calls that were made on Jen McCabe's phone. You guys, this is so good. Go look at the deleted calls that were made from Jen's phone with word text messages and phone calls to John. And the data would reveal that, ready? We'll go on over to Hector here. So I'm orienting everybody with their time. And I'll bring in Hector the projector. Okay. And this is John O'Keefe's call log. So fuck you, Karen, fuck you, Jen McCabe, who would have deleted stuff, right? We're going to take this straight from, John O'Keefe's, evidence number. Here it is. This is, okay, so incoming, the 1214, 1218. Now we need to look right here. Okay. 4:59 and 26 seconds when the phone is downstairs. Okay. John received, but it was unanswered, a call at 4:59, 26 seconds. Jen McCabe doesn't move. Like this phone is downstairs. So he's saying they're in bed. Okay. This phone is downstairs, y'all. Then 4:59, then 5:04, 5:08, 5:09, 5:14, 5:25, 5:31. And then see right there, this is all happening before the phone has walked the fuck upstairs at 5:32. Maddie, fatty Maddie. Woo, woo, woo. You go, boy. Ow! It's going to get better. Now, mind you, these were all deleted. So, but we got this from good old John's phone. Okay. Fatty Maddie. Now, take that back off the screen. Now we'll go to the screen. We'll bring back on Fatty Maddie.
Now, at some point,
The reason I call him that is because I would call him Skinny John Travolta once he loses a bunch of weight and he does a bunch of coke here if he sees this episode. There you go, right there. So look at little John Travolta. He's a chunky John Travolta.
when your wife was downstairs,
My wife proceeded downstairs. I remained in the bedroom.
My wife proceeded downstairs and I remained in the bedroom. Oh, is that a fact? Love it.
what is the next thing that you remember occurring that morning?
Well, I was getting dressed. I put my jeans on. My wife went downstairs. She was going to make a coffee. My wife and I were proceeding to leave. We were going to leave our house and make a drive to the house of the gentleman that my wife was calling that we possibly thought John could have met up with. And within that moment, again, I don't know the exact time, I then heard yelling out in my front yard.
And when you heard the yelling in your front yard, what did you do?
He heard the yelling from his front yard. Okay. This is where it's going to get, I just love to pop it like this. So he's claiming, now mind you, Jen McCabe does not move. Does not move. She cannot be getting up, getting dressed, getting into the shower. She does not physically move her motherfucking ass because she slept with her watch on. She does not move until she moves and takes, well, we'll get to that, but she takes literally 6 steps and is literally incapacitated yet again from 5:01 a.m. until 5:27 a.m. Jen does not move from 5:01 a.m. until 5:27 a.m. She moves for a total of 6 seconds from 5:01 and some seconds to 5:01 and some seconds. Okay. But it's very, very important to know that she is not moving from 5:01 to 5:27.
I realized it was Karen Reed, and I told my wife to please tell her to shut up. She's going to wake up the whole neighborhood.
And
Where did you tell her that at? When you were upstairs in your bedroom and she was downstairs? So he's saying that Karen Reed shows up over there, right? And is screaming from outside, right? Well, guess what, guys? That is incorrect because Karen Reed, we'll go back to the phone calls between Karen's phone and Jen's phone. Okay. And if you go back to the best evidence, go like this. So, and look at these phone calls again. And what time Lally says that according to Lally, according to Lally, Karen Reed leaves at 5:08, doesn't hit the car, meaning John's Traverse, then is MIA. And it does not take 23 minutes to get over to Jennifer McCabe's house. And says, because Lally says that Karen Reed does not arrive over to Jen McCabe's house for 21 to 23 minutes after leaving at 5:08. Okay. insinuating that she went to 34 Fairview because Matt McCabe is insinuating and telling the jury that we told her during the 505 phone call upstairs in our bedroom that she went there and I saw you guys arrive at 34 Fairview. Oh, but she didn't remember going there. This is how you need to handle. Karen Reed cannot be found guilty for the whole manslaughter crap. Okay, guys. And his testimony is leading that down that route. And so that's why you have to clip Matt McCabe by the nuts that he doesn't have and that he eats on the fucking regular. Okay. You have to clip this man's testimony. This man's testimony is damaging to manslaughter, that charge. And I don't want to see no jury say, oh, we're not going to charge with murder, but we'll go over here and do manslaughter. We have to clip these very, very important things because Karen Reed isn't going to do a damn day, let alone do damn manslaughter. Okay? His testimony is making it seem like Karen Reed was drunk off her ass, doesn't know shit, doesn't know where she was with her man, all this crap, okay? So we are trying to save Karen Reed from everything, okay? Because she didn't do it. Not because we're trying to save a guilty woman. It's because the data is not indicative of what these people testified to. So here we go. Going back to show you guys, he's saying that Karen Reed shows up at his house and is screaming, right? And then he's telling his wife to put a muzzle on her, right? Well, at 5:16, they're on the phone for 157 minutes, okay? And it was Karen Reed to Jen. This is the phone call, Jen to Karen at 5:05, where Matt's insinuating that this is where we tell her that, you drove him to 34 Fairview, right? Then Karen Reed to Jen is at 5:16 and 24 seconds. And it was last for 157. Remember, this is all downstairs. Then Karen Reed again to Jen at 5:19 and 21 seconds for 24 seconds. They're on the phone. Then at 5:26, when Lally is saying, okay, that at 5:08, she's backing out, and then 21 minutes later, she would then arrive at Jen McCabe's house. So here we are at 5:26, 95 seconds. 5:32 and 37 seconds. This is the phone after it would have been brought upstairs. 5:32. See that? So Karen Reed could have been yelling from outside. She's on the phone with Jen. Okay. And this is the only time, because the iWatch and the iPhone go together right before this call at 5. Oh, that's the wrong one. At 5:32 and 16 seconds. Oops, he's right here. 5:32 and 16 seconds. 5:32 and 18 seconds. See how the phone and the watch here? 5:32, 5:32. So this person that had the watch, who then together now for the first time is this phone traveling upstairs with the watch user in hand. Okay. And then that phone call is to say that I'm here. I'm outside. Okay. She couldn't be screaming and doing all of these things. She's on the phone, literally on the phone. And making it in that phone call, letting her know, hey, I'm here. So when Fatty Matty is saying the things that he's saying, that's not true. So let's go back here so you can hear this. And go back to Matt. Oh, shit.
Not thinking what happened to John happened to John. I was thinking he was on somebody's couch.
Okay, hold on.
Anybody on?
No, she did not speak to anybody. Nobody answered any of our calls.
And at some point, did you yourself reach out to Mr. O'Keefe?
Yes, I did.
How did you do that?
I know I texted him, and I think I called him as well. Pretty much, where the hell are you? I think it was when Karen Reed and my wife were leaving my house. I think I responded, where the hell are you? Now Karen and Jen are out looking for you.
And in regard to those text messages, did you receive any response from Mr. O'Keefe?
I did not.
And with regard to those, you had Mr. O'Keefe's programmed into your phone, is that correct?
Yes, I did.
You would have prior conversations with him via text message and phone using that number that you had programmed into your phone.
Yes.
So no response to the text as far as the phone call that you placed with Mr. O'Keefe and the answer to speak with him. No.
I did not speak to Mr. O'Keefe.
Now, at some point, you and your wife proceed downstairs.
My wife proceeded downstairs. I remained in the bedroom.
And what is the next thing that you remember occurring that morning?
Well, I was getting dressed. I put my jeans on. My wife went downstairs. She was going to make a coffee. My wife and I were proceeding to leave. We were going to leave our house and make a drive to the house of the gentleman that my wife was calling that we possibly thought John could have met up with. And within that moment, again, I don't know the exact time, I then heard yelling out in my front yard.
And when you heard the yelling in your front yard, what did you do?
I realized it was Karen Reed, and I told my wife to please tell her to shut up. She's going to wake up the whole neighborhood.
And where is this, or when is this in relation to that first phone call when you sort of shoot up out there?
At least a half hour, give or take. Again, I don't know the exact time.
Now, at any point after you hear the yelling out front, you hear the defendant yelling out front, what was she yelling about?
She, again, repeated, Jen.
Okay, for the love of God, you got it.
For some reason, kept repeating my wife's name. I don't know if she got all the way to my doorway or my wife walked
You guys,
out,
and the reason that
but
this
my
is
wife
important,
I was actually,
the reason that this is important, he's trying, because they're trying to create the reason that Karen Reed is so hysterical is because she's already seen John O'Keefe's body on the lawn. And she knows that she also put him there, right? That's why this testimony is critically important, because what they are seeding into the jury's mind is the reason that she's acting like this and nobody else is because of her knowledge. And it's all coming from this man's testimony, Jennifer McCabe's testimony. And it wasn't that Jen started this train, Matt started this train. Why do you think Jen had no problem turning over her phone, guys? Think about it. Think about it. I thought about that for a long time. I'm like, damn, why would Jen turn over her phone when she wouldn't have had to? And, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? Because she didn't know what the hell Matt had done that night on that phone. She didn't know that Matt was doing what he was doing on her phone. When she starts getting inklings of all of this stuff, I'll tell you what time it is during the day. And her heart rate shows it.
leave because I was like, not thinking what happened to John. I was thinking he was on somebody's couch. So I was like, good, I'm not going to look for him, thinking my wife was going to go. My wife said she's going to go with Karen to go find John.
And at any point in time that morning, when the defendant arrived at the house, did you actually go outside or look outside? Or?
I did not go outside. I did look out the blinds of my bedroom window, which is the closest to the driveway.
What, if anything, did you see when you looked out the blinds?
Saw Karen's car in my driveway.
Aiden came up with a good name for her, Alibi. Alibi.
I don't recall physically seeing her. I saw the vehicle. I don't recall seeing her directly, making any physical contact as far as seeing her.
What, if any, concerns did you have in reference to your wife going out with Ms. Reed at that particular time?
I had mentioned to my wife before she was leaving the house that
I'll allow this.
That-
What were your concerns?
my concerns were she was going to be driving with Miss Reed in their vehicle, and Miss Reed's
Whoops. What's happened here?
vehicle, and my concerns were that she had a broken taillight. What I thought by a broken taillight was that her taillight was out, meaning there was no light. And I didn't think it was a bright idea to be driving around with no physical light on the taillight.
Particularly given the weather, is that fair to say?
Because of the weather, correct.
Yeah,
And so,
that's a good,
your
interesting
wife then
observation.
leaves Reed, is that correct?
That is correct.
You know, happen to see like who got in where as far as the car who was driving when they got.
I did not see that, no.
Okay. Okay. So now this is, now we're going to go.
Within the same time frame that you were describing before, about a half hour after you your initial call.
Yes, from when, from Miss Reed arriving at my house was, yes, half hour or so after the initial call. And
Okay.
it wasn't long after before they proceeded to leave.
Okay. So then we're going to go now to Carrie Roberts' testimony and Jen McCabe's testimony. They say that when they get back to John's house, that they go upstairs, and this is really, really important because Jen McCabe goes upstairs and she's talking with the niece. Well, guess what, guys? Jen McCabe does not register a flight of stairs. So Jen McCabe, when Carrie Roberts says, I then go upstairs and meet with where Jen's at, and I happen to see the bedroom and that the bed's all perfectly made. Okay. I don't have Carrie Roberts' data, but Carrie Roberts does have data because Carrie Roberts gave her phone up. So that data does exist. I just don't have it. But what I can tell you is that Jennifer McCabe did not go upstairs at all when she went into that home. She did not go upstairs. When she says that she was in there and me and Jen were the only ones searching for John and Karen's just walking in there with her shoes and all this crap, none of that is true. I'm going to go over here to Hector because I want to now, we're going to come back to his testimony in a second here. But first, I want to show you guys this data and how we did it. Okay, so I'm going to zoom in, make it bigger for you guys. Okay. This was recently just made so that people that are following, they wanted to see it. And so what this does is, this is at 11:58 p.m. And this is Jen McCabe's watch is the source of information. Then if there was a secondary way, I put that. So at 11:58 a.m. from Jennifer McCabe's watch, and also the Waterfall bar footage, Jen is walking around the bar, which would be consistent to prove then Jen McCabe's watch begins to walk at 11:58 and 07 seconds until 12 on the money. During that time frame, her watch registers 39 steps taken. Okay. Let me go to mine so I can move it over for you guys. Now, the phone, what's important about this is that the phone, so see how I have it highlighted here in red? Okay. The iPhone data says that the steps with the iPhone, they don't begin until 11:58 and 24 seconds, which is a difference of, as you can see, what is it? 17 seconds. So Clearly, when Jen starts walking at 11:58 and 07 seconds, she doesn't have her phone on her. Does everybody see that? This is me trying to point this out to everybody, and we're doing a math class. So I'm going to have to shut down some of these things that are running. It's glitching my computer. I'm going to read my super chats as well. Hang tight 1 second. Sorry, my computer's all going slow back here. Look at 2:31 a.m. on Jen's cell, then watch. Looks like an alarm was set for 90 minutes. Snooze on watch at 3:50 and 36 seconds, then canceled at 3:51, 44 seconds, up by 4 a.m. I'll discuss what I think about that. It explains also why the man of the house stays behind. Who does that? Lets his wife go alone and stall Karen. They needed more time prior to arriving at 34 Fairview. 90 minutes were up, not. Yes, I'm gonna discuss why Matt did not go with Karen and Jen on that trip. So hold on. I'm gonna have to restart this. You guys, you have to take into account here. I want everybody to pay attention. The testimony of Fat Matt, when you want to talk about impeaching somebody in perjury, okay? When you say, could she have answered from her watch? Everybody knows that you can answer a phone from your watch, but your phone has to be within close to it usually. And if you don't have earbuds in, though, you're going to be fucked. But that is not the testimony of Matt McCabe. The testimony, okay, is none of that. So you can't say there's no more what ifs anymore. You have to take trial number 1 and dissect the fuck out of it, because these people have been in front of Karen Reed doing all of this shit for years. Karen Reed and her attorneys have been behind the 8 ball because they were not given the information. They had no idea what these people were going to come into a courtroom and then say. Even though there were hey, you testified a different proceeding. Hey, you testified a different proceeding. And you said this, you said that. Well, now we have a trial, okay? And what Matt McCabe said in that trial number 1 is all, in my opinion, what we need to focus on. What anybody said in trial number 1. Because you don't want to confuse this jury about 2 other grand juries, and that you can't talk about one being a federal grand jury. So what you really want to stick to is we now know what Matt McCabe testified to and how you can prove that it is not true. It is not possible. Matt McCabe, if you were sleeping in a bed in your house that night, in your room that night, okay, that cell phone was not in that room. That cell phone does not go upstairs until 5:32 a.m. And now, why would Matt McCabe have to lie about where he was located when overhearing any of this? Is trial 1 testimony allowed? Yeah, you impeach it. Yeah, you say, here are the trial transcripts. Do you recall saying this? And then they say, yeah, so you were in bed, right? And you are talking about a phone. She hangs up the phone, phone, in bed, upstairs. You made it nowhere that you were downstairs, okay? So now I'm going to continue explaining things so we can get on with the chlorophyll. So then at 12:01 and 8 seconds to 12:01 and 11 seconds, this is the watch. Okay. 13 steps. Then 12:04 and 16 seconds to 12:04 and 18 seconds. But based off of the Waterfall bar video, Jen McCabe is taking these steps with her watch, okay? Because she has her watch on. So it's like, this is her. We know for a fact that this is her because it's her watch. It's on her, right? And she takes 13 steps at this point, 4 steps here, 29 steps here. Remember, she's outside the bar with Karen Reed, okay? And so what I'm pointing out is that the phone begins to move 16 seconds after the watch. And so if Jen McCabe, in fact, has her phone on her, whether in her jacket pocket, in her pocket, in her purse that's on her, whatever, the phone and the watch would begin to move in sequence. When something is moving after it or before it, that's what leads you to be like, okay, wait, how is this phone moving and not the person that has the watch on? So that's what you really want to look for, which is in this situation, what we can prove is that Jen is making these steps with her person herself, and her watch is on her, okay? And what we can prove is that she begins to take steps for 16 seconds before the iPhone begins to move. So that means that the iPhone either had to be on the bar table inside, okay, for the first 16 seconds, or her husband had it, or it's in the car and she goes actually outside to go grab the phone and to get it. But she is making movements before that phone moves. Now, what the next thing I can prove is that from 12:07 and 2 seconds to 12:07 and 26 seconds, these last 16 steps, she then stops moving from 12:07 to 12:10 and 45 seconds, which is when she goes into her Denali and she's sitting in there. Jen is sitting in the car. What I'm able to show is that her phone, though, the phone, how it has 11:58 and 24 seconds to 12:07 and 41 seconds. This phone, 10, see how it says 0741, see how it's moving past, or I'm sorry, it's overlapping it a little bit there. What, 12:07:41, 12:07:26 to 12:10. But see how it's sitting in the car? She's sitting in the car. And her phone, from 11:58 and 24 seconds to 12:07:41 seconds, it's moving after she's sitting. How is that possible, guys? Then, Jen McCabe's iPhone data. The iPhone. This is the time box of 12:10 and 44 seconds, which is 1 second. It's about to move from when she was just sitting in the car. So here it looks like, oh, could this, now she has it in sequence with 12:10 and 44 seconds to 12:19. A step begins to be taken. But when you go and look at the Waterfall bar video, what time is Matt McCabe moving to go out to the vehicle? Then Jen's watch. Remember, I told you she's sitting in the car. Well, Jen starts to move. And so that means that she gets out of the vehicle from 12:10 and 45 seconds to 12:11 and 44 seconds. She gets out of the vehicle because she's making 36 steps. And this is crucial. This is crucial about how they want to say that everybody drove and who drove with who that night and who got in whose car and shit like that. Okay. Then at 12:11 in 9 seconds to 12:11 or from 12:11 in 9 seconds to 12:21 in 05 seconds, John O'Keefe begins to walk from the bar. And so his clock starts ticking at 12:11 and 9 seconds because he's going to do these 170 steps, which the beginning portion of them begins from walking from the waterfall bar to get into his in somebody's vehicle. Right? Say it's Karen Reed's, say it doesn't matter, but the steps start when he's about to walk into and leaving the waterfall bar and walking to a vehicle. Now, Jen's watch. She's still walking then. Again, 12:11 and 47 seconds, 12:12 and 28 seconds, 57 steps. She cannot be, so she's not in a vehicle if she's walking. And which is interesting just about it is we've always assumed that Jennifer McCabe drove with Matt. Matt drove with Jen, right? We've always just assumed that Karen and John drove together. But here, I want everybody to understand that for some reason, Jennifer McCabe, while sitting in her SUV waiting for Matt to come outside, then once he supposedly gets outside, she gets out of the car and is making these 36 steps during this time and then another 57 steps during this time. And then something very interesting happens, which is at 12:13 and 46 seconds, Green, the expert, looking at the data, says that, wow, and notes that the accuracy improves significantly for Jen's location services. And normally when things improve significantly, it's when the two items that are paired are syncing together on the same, GPS. And that improves significantly together, meaning that those devices together, 12:13 and 46 seconds. And he's attributing that to saying, okay, this is when they're leaving the waterfall bar. And I'm saying, is there an expert out there that can say, or it improves because the watch and the phone are now together? So I'm keeping track of these steps because there's a portion of these steps that get overflowed, and you're going to see what I mean, or that should, based on, so then I bring my arrows to show you this. So I put that in there, or is it possible with this now? John O'Keefe, that's the secondary source, and the main source is Jen McCabe's phone call or phone records. At 12:14 and 36 seconds, Jen calls John, and it lasts for 44 seconds. And this is Matt McCabe saying that he's overhearing all of this, so he's able to say what this is about. And we need to stop that. We need to stop having Matt McCabe being able to testify to what he heard when he didn't hear Dick. Okay? Okay. So this call is supposedly happening because John texted, "Where to?" All right, where to? And then instead of just texting him back, supposedly, she calls him and they talk for 44 seconds. And then this phone call would have ended at 12:15 on the dot. Now, at 12:18 and 25 seconds, Jen McCabe's location data on her phone says that it's getting and arriving to 34 Fairview. But it needs to be noted here, but Jen doesn't start walking for 25 seconds after that 12:18 and however many seconds it just said there, 12:18 and 25 seconds. But Jen doesn't start walking yet because of a reason. Like they arrive, if they just pulled right up into the driveway, put it in park, got out of the car, okay, and started walking. All right. So 25 seconds though, after that 12:18 and 25 seconds, does Jen, because here it is right here, because we have her watch. You have to go off of her watch. Here's her watch. But before I can get to that, I have to talk to you guys about the fact that at 12:18 and 47 seconds, John's phone call with Jen's phone for 36 seconds, and it ends at 12:19 and 26 seconds. But the significance of this is that 3 seconds into the call, Jennifer McCabe starts walking. Okay. And this is Matt saying that he was able to overhear everything because these phone calls are happening in the car, and that John's lost and he needs directions, and we're telling him where Bella's mom lives and to go pass this on Chapman and blah, blah, blah. So I want everybody to digest this, and we're going to go back to Matt's testimony so I can break it down over there so that we can go like this. Back to Matt.
I can't wait to see Jennifer
It's time
McCabe.
that you're
She
looking
looks
out,
so beat up.
the blinds and you see the defendant's car and the defendant outside. Was it light out? Was it dark out? What are we talking about?
It was dark out.
And so they leave and you're home with the porch open, correct?
That is correct.
And when was the next time that you spoke to your wife?
The next time I spoke to my wife was an hour later. I received a phone call from her. I don't know the exact time, but I'm gonna say about an hour or so.
And without reference to much of the content of that, all I'm really asking for is what, if any, indications did she give you as to where she was?
She indicated they found John and Bob at Fairview.
And upon receiving that information, where did you go?
I proceeded to finish getting dressed and drove over to Fairview.
And when you got to Fairview, what kind of thing did you see when you left?
That phone call was at 6:16. And there was another one. Okay, at 6:17. Those phone calls. Just double check really quick. So yeah, it was at, I apologize. The first time that she called Matt, okay, the first time that she called Matt was at, it's to Matt at 6:35. And then from Matt then calls her at 6:47. The first call was 19 seconds. The second call was 18 seconds. So she calls Matt at 6:35. Matt calls her at 6:47. Then Matt tries to call her again at 6:52, but Jen rejects the call. During this time frame, this is when, I don't know if it was like, she he's there, she's inside, but this is the time when Jen's heart rate is out of her mind. It is during the time frame of, this is the only time that her heart rate goes to some crazy place, because now she would have had her phone. If she's looking for her through her phone, like, what the fuck are all these calls? What the fuck, Matt? Were you on my phone? Who are all these calls to? Okay. Or you need to get the hell over here, all this crap, right? Whatever could have been said. Hold on. Yes. 6:42, 6:48, 6:53, 6:58, 7:03, and 7:08. Jennifer McCabe's heart rate goes from being her regular between, 80, 90. It goes all the way up to 122, 121, 118, 119, 115, and then 100. And that is 6:42, 6:48, 6:53, 6:58. And this would have been, again, Matt just testifying here and saying that his wife calls him to let him know that John was found at 34 Fairview. And the first call was at 6:35, 19 seconds. Then 6:47, 18 seconds. And then 6:52 and 39 seconds. And that was rejected by Jen, Matt calling, rejected by Jen. And when you compare and you look at what was going on with her heart rate at 6:53, or I'm sorry, at 6:42, like I said, 122, like dealing and handling and talking to Matt set her the fuck off.
When I got to Fairview, I had come down through the Chapman Street entrance, and as I proceeded down the hill towards the Albert residence, I noticed all the first responders, fire engine, et cetera, police cars, and I realized I was not going to be able to get to the Albert residence because it was all blocking the street. So I backtracked, turned around, went back up Fairview to the top to Chapman, to the left, and to the left down Spring Lane, which is a parallel street to Fairview, and came down Spring Lane to Cedar Crest onto Fairview so I could get to the Albert household.
Now, during your drive from your home over to Fairview and doing all that sort of turning around and coming back around the other way to Cedar Crest, what were the roads like?
It was snowing, careful driving.
Fuck your roads.
Matt, we found John at Fairview. It was a quick conversation. I didn't get any details.
Right there. Matt, we found John at Fairview. You were on the phone for the first phone call, 17 seconds. Matt, we're at Fairview. We found John. That takes 3 seconds.
We found
Now,
That's it.
at some point,
There's a dead guy on the lawn. That's it.
while you were at the house, did you speak
Usual
to
Saturday.
Officer Lang was there?
Dead guy on the lawn.
That's correct.
You know,
Any other officers
no big deal.
in the house at that time or any later time?
Okay, now I'm going to go to when.
It was a two-door Jeep.
Okay, it looks like a part of the Jeep would have been blocking.
Okay.
I don't remember.
So
Who grabbed who? I just recall. It's like a bear hug or something. I thought
let me rephrase. So there are 2 lanes in that driveway, correct?
my recollection is 2 lanes, but there is more space if you, I know when we go over and we've gone over, there's more space to kind of park 3 cars
Right.
to the right, correct?
Okay.
But we weren't to the right. We were either left or middle.
You were behind one vehicle, whichever lane you were in, or were you pulled right up to one of the garage entrances?
I don't recall if we pulled all the way in or not, but I don't remember.
So there were at least 2 vehicles in the driveway before you got there, correct?
In the driveway?
Yes.
Yes, there were cars in the driveway.
And when you parked in the driveway, fair to say that there was no black SUV at the Albert's home.
Are you referencing Karen's SUV? I don't know what color the Albert's cars were.
Oh,
Are you referencing their SUV?
Put it this way. Yes, I'm referencing Karen's SUV.
That was not at the home.
And that's not in the driveway, correct?
Karen's SUV was not in the driveway.
And it was not adjacent to the property or on the street anywhere that you could see.
Correct. It was not there.
But you say that there was a Jeep in the street at that time, correct?
There was a Jeep parked in front of the end of the driveway in front of the mailbox.
And that Jeep belonged to Brian Higgins.
I found out it belonged to Brian Higgins. I didn't know it was his Jeep when I arrived.
And it had a plow on the front of it.
Yes, it did.
It was parked adjacent to the Albert's property
Fair
on
mix-up.
Fairview, facing up the hill toward Chapman Street, correct?
Yes.
And at the time that you arrived, that was the only vehicle that was parked on Fairview Street adjacent to the Albert property, correct?
Yes.
Everywhere from
And your
mid-20s
testimony
to
is
like
that Jeep
mid-50s.
remained parked in front of the Albert house, just to the left of the driveway as you faced the house, until Brian Higgins finally left and drove it away at the end of the night, correct?
That's my recollection, was his Jeep was out in front of the mailbox.
With the court's permission, could we display Exhibit 66?
Okay.
Jeep and the black SUV, was it greater or smaller than the distance between you and me right now?
I told him I saw an SUV and parked in front of the house. Then I saw an SUV move further up the road, which looking out of the house would be to the right of the house.
Oh my God.
So
Okay, so right here, this is really important. Yannetti does not need to do any of this. What he just needs to say now is you said that you saw it arrive.
A black SUV parked to the right of the residence as you look at the property from the street. Did you not?
I did not. Can you elaborate what you?
Correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And it was always facing in the same direction that you say that Higgins' Jeep was facing, correct?
Yes.
And that would mean that the passenger side of the black SUV was the closest side to the Albert home, correct?
Yes.
And it was the closest side to you when you were first looking at it, correct?
Yes.
And now your testimony today is you don't recall if the first time you looked at that black SUV, it was through the front door or if it was through a front window, correct?
Correct. I don't recall which one I looked out first. I know I looked out both of them at some point. I just don't recall which one was first.
Whichever one it was, when you first laid eyes on that black SUV, you did see John O'Keefe in the passenger
thanks,
seat,
mate.
correct?
That is correct.
Shout
How
out to you
long a
guys.
span of time was it between the first time you looked out and saw the black SUV and the second time?
Again, I don't have the exact time. I'm going to guess 3, 4, 5 minutes at most.
And what you did in between those 3, 4, 5 minutes was you went back to the table or near the table in the kitchen dining room area where everybody was congregated,
That's correct.
and you went back there to talk to people and socialize, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And then you came back to the front of the house and either went to the front window or the front door, and that's when you noticed that the black SUV had moved to the other side of the property, correct?
Yes, at that moment, it had moved to the right.
Okay, so now this is how you're going to be able to show this is not true. Going back to this handy dandy amazing. Okay, Excel. Okay. At 12:18 and 25 seconds, this is the location data, says that they're arriving at 34 Fairview. Again, but Jen, based off of this timestamp, she does not start physically moving with her watch for 25 seconds. Okay, Jen doesn't start walking for 25 seconds after this 12:18 and 25 seconds, which is 3 seconds after the phone call would be initiated between John and Jen's phone right here at 12:18 and 47 seconds. She begins to start walking at 12:18 and 50 seconds right here. 12:18 and 50 seconds to 12:19 and 46 seconds and takes 49 steps, which begins 3 seconds into the JOK call. This is so important. Since Jen is walking past the 12:19 and 22 second mark, you have to go back up here and look, from 12:10 and 44 seconds to 12:19 and 22 seconds, this is the iPhone is registering that 154 steps happened, which the iPhone's moving, and it started from like I was trying to say, like somebody walking and begins to start their steps at 12:10 and 44 seconds. And then it just registers up and until 12:19 and 22 seconds. And this is how I'm able to then prove like a really, really high possibility that since Jen is walking past the 12:19 and 22 second mark, the time of the phone stopped moving. This means that the phone couldn't have been with Jen because the ticker of that would have continued to go, which also means that Jen would have gotten out of the car without the phone, because the phone, like he's saying, it's connected to Bluetooth, right? And so she just lets Matt handle telling John if he's lost or whatever, right? And or whatever it is that they're talking about. And so then here, the iPhone, which is also a very strong indication of the same that I'm saying, is that the iPhone would not register another step 12:19 and 22 seconds. The only other possibility is that the phone continued to make a couple steps as if you would have gotten out of the car and Jen has her watch on. She takes a couple steps and actually like physically has her phone, right? And then here at 12:20, remember, like they're talking about, oh, when we got there, Higgins's Jeep was right there. Well, Higgins also was actually in the driveway doing a little pass to like move snow, allegedly. Laughable. But is the reason that Jennifer McCabe did not get out of the vehicle for 25 seconds is because when they went and pulled up, that a car had its lights on. There's Higgins's Jeep trying to pull back because he said he was trying to be funny, remember? And so that they had to wait for then Higgins's Jeep to pull out of the driveway, move then so that here the McCabes pull in, right? And then John calls 3 seconds into that call, Jennifer McCabe is moving. This is not disputable. Okay. And then at 12:20, because when Jen's like I believe that Jen goes to walk into the house. Okay. At least for the time when she's getting out, she's telling somebody or she's outside saying, like John's lost or whatever, and blah, blah, blah. Then Higgins makes the whole, where you at? Like, I'll help. Like, where you at? Where you at? That's at 12:20, which would go with the whole, if they're going to go this route of where John is, he needs directions or some shit like that. But it's imperative right here. The iPhone would not register another step from 12:19 and 22 seconds until 12:41 and 31 seconds. But Jennifer McCabe's watch is moving, but it's doing interesting things, and that's what we're about to get into. Okay, then go like this. Share back with. Okay. Now.
Of the property. It driven forward, correct?
I did not see it drive, but it moved. Yes.
It moved
So it had to
forward.
get there somehow. Yes.
It was now closer to the flagpole.
Oh, come on.
And so Yannetti goes on his little like
So we're on our way.
Right. And you
Oh,
know,
right
again,
there.
the plan was to go
right there.
family property line on Fairview, other than Higgins Street and the black SUV, correct?
That's my recollection. Yes.
Okay.
Oh, so now we're going to go back to where I had left off with regard to meeting your wife, Jennifer McCabe, in the car after leaving the Waterfall.
Okay, now this is it, baby. Woo, 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 woo. See, I get pumped for this type of shit. Ready? Here it comes. So now we're gonna go back. Now United's like, okay, we're gonna go back to the time point of like you're meeting your wife, Jennifer McCabe, in the vehicle leaving Waterfall. Okay, here we go.
Recall that we sort of left off with you getting in the car. and
Oh,
starting
you
to drive.
guys are too sweet.
Once you got inside the car, your wife ultimately called John O'Keefe along the ride home, correct?
John O'Keefe had texted my wife, and my wife had called him. He was asking where to. We think he was asking for the where to, where's the address. So she called him to tell him.
And you knew that
Now, what I can prove, what I just showed you guys, is that when he walked back to the car, Jen McCabe got out. So when he gets before they're gonna leave this Waterfall bar, it is undisputed that Jennifer McCabe gets out of that vehicle and makes X amount of steps because I think she sees John coming out, right? So she gets out of the vehicle to walk then over to John. You understand? Because why would Jen get out of the Denali, right? Well, she does. And then so she walks for that 1 minute, which is from 12:11 and 9 seconds. I'm sorry, from 12:10 and 45 seconds to 12:11 and 44 seconds. She gets out of the car and walks 36 steps. Then from 12:11 and 47 seconds to 12:12 and 28 seconds, she's walking 57 steps. So she stands still for 3 seconds in between those 2 points.
he was asking that because the Bluetooth of the car was connected to her phone, correct?
I believe the Bluetooth was on. Again, I could hear his conversation.
Yeah.
My assumption is the Bluetooth was on.
Right. You can hear both sides.
You guys hearing this? So he's saying he's able to hear this conversation at 12:14, that call, because the phone is connected to the Bluetooth. Okay.
of the conversation, correct?
I could hear John as well, yes.
Yeah, your wife and John, correct?
Well, yes, I was sitting next to my wife. I could hear her.
And you heard John tell your wife that he was planning to go to 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes,
He had told your wife in your presence that he and Karen would meet your wife and you there, correct?
he said we're on our way.
Right. And you knew, again, the plan was to go inside 34 Fairview, correct?
Yes, that was the plan.
You heard your wife tell John that 34 Fairview's off Chapman Street, correct?
Either I was also talking, so I don't know if my wife was repeating, but yes, we did say off at Chapman Street.
It could have been you, could have been your wife, but he was
Yes.
told it was off Chapman Street, right?
That's correct, yes.
And then
And now this is really important because of which way that they would have expected Karen to be coming down that road. Okay.
your wife hung up with John, at least temporarily, but then John called back, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
He indicated he needed more specific directions to 34 Fairview.
So what United needs to do next time is say, why did John call back at 12:18? Why did John call back at 12:18?
Correct?
Yes,
And then you heard your wife, or maybe you participated in the conversation, I won't rule that out, but between the two of you, you did give him more specific directions, correct?
yes, we did.
And either you or your wife, and you can correct me if you know if it's one or the other, but one of you told him to go down Chapman and take Fairview as if they were going to Bella's house, correct?
Yes, we had mentioned go down Chapman to Fairview, to, you know where Bella lives, drive past Bella's street, the house will come up on your left.
Right, and I believe you previously,
Or when John's saying where to, because he just talked to Sugar Tits outside the two cars, and did Sugar Tits actually come with them? But regardless, when he says where to, that phone call, we don't want to text it where we want you to go get our drugs from. Okay.
to explain that Bella was a friend of John's niece, Kaylee, and also your daughter, Olivia, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
So that was a good way to orient him as to where to go, correct?
Yes.
And once you did that, John O'Keefe never called back for any clarification, correct?
Yes, not to my recollection.
All right. And with regard to your state of mind,
Okay, so he's making it seem like that they're in the car driving when he's giving him these 12:18 instructions. They are not. They are at 34 Fairview. And Jennifer McCabe is walking and is making these and walks away. So either she's not with the phone and he's doing all of this. Okay. So you really have to understand that at 12:18, you would think when this phone call is going on, oh, that they're driving as well. No, they are in that driveway. And within 3 seconds of it, Jen is walking. And that phone, according to them, is connected to Bluetooth. And so she could be standing outside of the car, walking around it and looking and seeing if she sees him and stuff like that. Okay. But they are at 34 Fairview. They're not driving. Jennifer is out of that vehicle walking within 3 seconds of that phone call, the 12:18 one.
based on that conversation and the instruction.
And then Higgins. So if when Jen gets out of the vehicle, oh, well, John and Karen are coming. They're trying to figure out where they're going. Like, did you see a car go by or whatever, whatever the fuck this dumbass is saying. But that's where the whole, where you at? Okay. And they're all outside. None of these motherfuckers are in that house. When he wants to say he goes inside the house to then see this SUV arrive and all this bullshit. No, he was outside.
Instructions that either you or your wife or both of you gave John, you certainly assumed that John and Karen would be arriving at Fairview coming from the Chapman Street direction, correct?
That was my assumption.
Okay.
As I stated yesterday, there's multiple ways to go, but that was my assumption.
And it was an educated assumption based on the conversation that you had, correct?
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
Okay.
Finding in the
Thank you.
document. I have handed you something, if you could obey the request, correct?
Yes.
So then he shows him this map to show him that, like, the way that you gave the directions to go, because I don't believe any of this shit. I don't believe that that's what the phone call was about. That you would have then been expecting to see, Karen's coming from this way.
Driver's side would have been closest to the property.
Okay, we can turn the lights back on. That would mean, well, strike that. So you agree with me that your state of mind was that was the direction that they would go?
That's what I thought they would have, that's how I thought they would have come into the neighborhood, correct?
But you never saw the black SUV traveling in that direction or parked in that direction, correct?
That's correct.
That would mean that in order.
See, I don't think you could say that. I don't think that's a good question. Because he said he saw the car arrive. And if he saw the car arrive, right? If he saw the car arrive, what he said in direct examination, because he's saying in bed, I told them, I saw her car, I saw her arrive at 34 Fairview. What, is she fucking crazy?
For the SUV to be facing in the other direction, one way would be for it to make a three-point turn, correct?
Objection.
I'll allow it.
So we're saying if they came down from Chapman and then spun around and facing back up towards Chapman, is what you're asking? Yes, at some point she would have had to turn around.
Or do a three-point turn, correct?
She could do a 3-point turn, or she could just loop around at Cedar Crest and come back up. Either one.
And a three-point turn would be consistent with what the V-shaped tire tracks that you saw when you looked out the front of Brian Albert's house, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
When you were interviewed by Michael Proctor on January 29th of 2022, you had not spoken with Ryan Nagel, correct?
No.
So it's fair to say you did not know what, if anything, Ryan Nagel had seen in terms of how or what direction the black SUV arrived in, correct?
Objection.
Sustained.
When you spoke to Michael Proctor on January 29th of 2022, the phone conversation that your wife had with John O'Keefe that you were either participating in or listening to, that was regarding the directions. That was fresh in your mind on January 29th, correct?
Yeah.
Those directions had just been given to John, the night before or really hours before, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now I want to show you guys how this becomes a story. Okay, ready? Okay. Window. Okay. So, John, 12:21 and 10 seconds. He begins to take a step, or whoever has that phone takes a step. This is really important. 80 steps will occur between 12:21 and 10 seconds to 12:24 and 22 seconds. But when he arrives at 34 Fairview, so you can see here at 12:22 and 14 seconds, that means a minute has to transpire before when he gets out of the vehicle to begin to start walking, okay? That it's not like a minute will go by before then a flight of stairs is registered. So John's phone registers 3 flights of stairs, which begins 1 minute and 5 seconds after he starts taking the steps. John's floor time span goes 15 seconds past his step time, which is abnormal. Okay. Like if I'm going up the stairs and I'm walking, okay, and then after I walk from the stairs and I get to the top, then therefore I would continue to make steps, right? But for my floor time to go past my step time, this is just something I want you guys to envision, which is indicating that John's phone could have been possibly chucked in the air, as in somebody throwing it out of a window. Okay. Or holding it outside and throwing it up to, like, even if you're outside, you're going to go chuck it. Okay. Because then what is interesting is that then someone realized that, oh, it might be best to go get that phone. Because then 5 minutes later, the phone that somehow this phone makes more movements. So here it is. So, and it registers 36 steps between 12:31 and 56 seconds and 12:32 and 16 seconds. So it's like the phone was thrown, okay? And then 5 minutes later, somebody walks over who obviously does not have the phone, picks it up, and then that's when those steps then would begin being counted as somebody then having it after it had already, like, when it had gone through the air, is somebody then would be picking it up, but it couldn't have been with the person that's like walking on over to where it would be. You know what I mean? Like that's 5 minutes goes by. So during that time frame, though, now we have to look at what's happening here. 12:23 and 12:23 on the dot to 12:30 to 12:23 in 2 seconds. Jen takes one step. One step. How does somebody just take one step? This is with her watch. Because Jen's phone isn't moving after 12:19. 12:25 and 13 seconds to 12:25 and 16 seconds. Jen herself takes 4 steps. Her phone is not recording any of this. Then Jen does not move for a straight 10 minutes. So, if you're about to get out of the car and you would take a step and then you hop back in a car, and then you're about to get out of the car again and you get back in. No, Jen, get the fuck back in that car. Okay. 12:25 and 16 seconds to 12:35 and 39 seconds. Jen McCabe does not move, but she could be in a vehicle in that car and not be moving. But she literally, if she is inside that house, is not doing anything. Her watch, she is not moving. And that would be highly inconsistent with what we're about to see. Then, now, like if she is in a car from 12:25 to 12:35 a.m. But regardless, okay, she was not getting up and walking over to the window or the door to see this vehicle, this SUV, which matters because we're going to go with their testimony. Okay. Jennifer McCabe from 12:25 to 12:35 a.m. is not moving. Then 12:35 and 39 seconds to 12:45 and 2 seconds. Jen takes 148 steps during this period. Now, this is where it's like, wow, Lana, you did it. Yeah, done yourself. Jen is moving at 12:35 and 39 seconds. I believe that they then arrive back at this house. They went somewhere. They come back to the house. Okay. Unless Jen is having diarrhea or vomiting in the bathroom for a straight 10 minutes because she's fucking drunk off of her ass. Okay. But she's supposedly going to be in that house party. Okay. How is Jen not moving for 10 straight minutes? Something didn't add up for me with that. And I was like, but wait, she's also not with her phone because her phone didn't move from 12:19 until 12:41. And I was like, oh my God, because it got answered in that fucking car and then it stayed in that goddamn car. Up and until ding, 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 ding. Ready? 12:41 and 31 seconds to 12:43 and 31 seconds. The iPhone takes 16 steps. During which the time that there are steps being had by Jen, okay, because here's this get like 12:35 and 39 seconds to 12:45 and 2 seconds. Jen takes 148 steps, and it's just during that period, and you can see that period overlaps to 12:41 and 31 seconds to the 12:43 and 31 seconds. So it is overlapping. So could it be that Jen had the phone during that? Yes, but could it also be that it's somebody else? 150% yes. Okay. And what leads me to believe that it's somebody else, is because watch this. Jen's iPhone, then again, after it takes these 16 steps, which to me would be indicative of like a phone if I go grab it, so the steps that I would take to go get the phone would not be counting yet. So when I go to the car, I open it and I grab a cell phone, and then I put it in my jacket. Okay. I put it in my jacket and then I go, so that it's going to start from the moment that I'm walking then into the house. I take my jacket off and then I hang my jacket on like a coat, just right at the front door. I take my jacket off. And then therefore my watch, obviously I'm moving around with that, but my phone again is going to be in, not moving. Because that phone only takes 16 steps during that period. Jen's iPhone will not register any steps until 1:34 and 2 seconds. That is almost 50. I mean, that's 50 minutes. Okay. 50 minutes. Now, why this is important is because this phone, okay, this fucking phone is being used though, because remember, Jen is sending and calling John via text messages and phone calls, right? But Jen's heart rate at 12:41, you guys, is at 66. That is her sleeping rate. At 12:49 p.m., it's like Jennifer McCabe is falling asleep on the couch. Or she just took some sick-ass heroin, or she just took some sick-ass Valium or some Xanax. But really, no, what it looks like that she did is it looks like that she's just like, people are like vegging out on the couch type of thing. It looks like Jen is just a vegetable. This is just so important. So then here, going back, so important. Jen, again, look at these little steps she'll take. So if you truly think about it, by the time she gets to this house, when she takes these 49 steps from 12:18, or I'm sorry, right here, 12:19, and then here she is taking, where's Jen? I think she's down here, right here. After the 12:19 and whatever, then she's taking these little 12:23, one step here, 4 steps, and then 10 straight. I mean, there's like, she's not moving. It's like Jen is barely moving from the moment that she's in that house. So anybody that's saying that Jen is running around, going up and down stairs, going downstairs to the basement, that is not happening. That is why I moved from this whole basement brawl bullshit. Okay? That's why I moved away from that. Because Jennifer McCabe's iPhone nor her watch register any flights of stairs, okay, from when she arrives at 34 Fairview. Nothing, her phone does not register. Mainly, I want to talk about her watch. Nor does her phone either, but her watch. And she's barely moving, though, either. Okay? So all the stuff that she's saying that she's doing when she's testifying, let me tell you when that begins to happen, guys. Ready? That begins to happen right here. 12:48 and 52 seconds to 12:48 and 58 seconds. With her iWatch, just 3 steps though. Then 12:52 and 10 seconds to 12:52 and 13 seconds, 5 steps. 6 steps. 28 steps. 26 steps. And then I say to go to the data sheet because I have it here just so I didn't have to like repeat and write, but it's important. But this is when it's like, this is movement consistent with, I just arrived back to the house because I came from somewhere else. So what I mean by that is, let's go to this. And right here, see like this 101, 101, and 37. So it's like just 14 steps, 103. So they're doing all of this like, it's like she was waiting for them to get back, that Higgins, Matt, John, like they went somewhere. And it almost is consistent with, well, did Jen go with them? Because, or was Jen just waiting on the couch? And so she was just sitting there and just, bullshitting or whatever. But she's barely moving from 12:23. And when I say barely moving from 12:25 to 12:35, she doesn't move at all. 12:23, she takes 3 steps. I mean, it's all right here. And I'm like, what the fuck? This isn't somebody running around looking for somebody. This isn't somebody going over the window. This isn't happening. Okay? But when the movements start happening like a normal person engaging at like a party, that stuff begins after 12:41. See this? 12:35 to 12:45, 148 steps. when she wasn't moving at all for 120 from 12:25 to 12:35, didn't move at all. Now here, 12:35 and 39 seconds to 12:45 and 2 seconds during that 9 minutes with her watch. So it's her. Okay. She makes 148 steps. And then these little, her iPhone's not moving. I'll see how her iPhone here, it just does those 16 steps like I told you. And then it plants, and it stays, and I believe it's in a pocket. Or it could, I believe that it's in a pocket of a jacket. They want to say, oh, I plugged it in to charge it. Okay. I can just tell you this, that phone is stationary. And so, yeah, could you walk over to your phone and use it while it's just stationary, like by like wherever, and you're just standing still to use it? Absolutely. And I don't believe that you would register any steps. Okay. But look at this, 101, 103, 105, 106, 107, 109, 111, 113. See these type of movements here, guys? This is what's showing me that it's indicative that those are the type of movements that she should have been having back up and in this area. But she couldn't have those type of movements because she was in a motherfucking vehicle, y'all. She was in a vehicle. She didn't just come into that house and just sit on the couch for 10 minutes straight looking at the wall from 10:25 to 10:35. You can't make any steps because you are in a vehicle. That's when you can't make any steps. Then, like I said, Jennifer McCabe here, this is her watch. So she's walking. Awesome. And then right here, 124 to 135, or 124 to 134. Now go and look at what Higgins is doing. At this time is when Higgins would have left the 34 Fairview house, okay, to go to the Canton Police Department. 255 steps were taken by Jen McCabe between 124 and 134, and that registered on her watch. See how? Look at that. Watch. Okay. So she starts moving in the watch at 124, and then right underneath it, see where it says iPhone? At 134 and 2 seconds, you see this? So after the 10 minutes of just moving without the phone for 255 steps, then she takes a step to at least grab this iPhone, because then the iPhone from 134 to 143, the iPhone, 35 steps only though. But see how they have the same number here? So it's moving in concert. You guys see this? Where is it? 134. See that right there? It would be indicative of the watch being with the owner for that portion, but only for, see that 35 seconds? Or not 35 seconds, but 35 steps. 35, see? 35. And one of them is the watch, one of them is the iPhone, and it's the same time frame. And what that shows me that it is that that's movement of somebody then if they grab their jacket and started beginning to walk with the jacket, and the phone was in the jacket. Just hear me out. But prior to that, the 255 steps frantically looking all over is because this person can't find their fucking phone. This person's trying to leave and they can't find their phone or something like that. Or whatever it is that they're doing for 255 steps was done without the phone. Then the phone and the watch are moving in concert. Okay? Again, it could be a couple different things, but 35 steps. But do you see how this stops like 134 and 3 seconds to 134 and 59 seconds? And this goes from 134 and 2 seconds to 143 and 12 seconds. And see how it's the iPhone? it means that the iPhone continued to make movements, but what the watch wearer stopped. And this is what's leading me to believe that if I'm coming over to grab you to say, hey, honey, it's time to go or something like that, and so I'm walking with you or I'm helping you out of the house, I'm walking with you, right? And then I put you, let's say, in the SUV. So then your watch, you have your watch on, you're in the SUV. I have your phone though. Because let's say even it's in the charger, I grabbed it, I put it in my pocket, whatever. But you can clearly see that the phone is moving after the owner of the watch is stopped moving. And then we go to Sarah Livingston's testimony and Julian Nagel's testimony. And it was, I can't remember which one. I think it was Sarah Livingston talking about that they couldn't leave right away because, Matt McCabe forgot something. Matt McCabe forgot something. And she's like, I think he forgot his jacket or something. Remember that? Well, let me then show you. Let me remind you of this testimony. Okay, so then go stop sharing screen. Let's go back to Fat Matt. And he's asked about it by Yannetti. Hold on 1 second. Again, sorry, I'm not even looking at chat. I'll engage afterwards. I'm almost done. I just want to get through the whole presentation. Okay, here we go, Fatty. And we had one of my best friends, his nickname in high school was Fatty. And he's a really good looking dude, by the way. So here, let's go where Fatty talks about this. So again, welcome to Truth and Transparency. You guys remember watching the Murdoch murder? The Micah Sturgis testified. Micah Sturgis is one of the best experts with phones, and he could tell you if a phone like turned on its side, but all this stuff. Well, me and Micah Sturgis, we have a pretty good relationship. Oh, what are we doing that for lunch, girl? It's about to be that lunchtime. And I couldn't recommend a better dude if Karen needs somebody to do a timeline than Micah Sturgis. But we're talking about trials about to start. So hold on, this thing's taking a minute. I got Matt. What's going on over here? Matt McCabe did the Google search. Matt McCabe did everything. Matt McCabe. Oh, she's back. I'm back. She's back. Hold on. Let me. Tired of these assholes messing with my shit. Okay, so here's Maddie Bobaddy talking about this.
The screaming of Jay.
At 3:03 p.m. and
Examination. Based on bully during the microphone.
that when you were looking at the vehicle from wherever you were looking at it, you were looking straight over the front lawn.
What the hell?
Is outside my house. No.
Skipping ahead to when you went back to Roosevelt Front, he's asking right now.
I'd assume he.
Oh, let's see. It's right before he goes, you would have saw the lawn.
Done, correct?
I was going to take a picture to show them. Oh, the troopers are outside your house.
Right, so in answer to my question, you weren't
No idea that I've never met them. I don't know their last names.
monitoring what troopers were doing. It also
Monitoring.
mean that you drove the length of the.
Oh yeah, right
property,
here.
correct?
Okay. This is where he talks about the whole
All
going
of
in.
you was the front lawn, correct?
If I was to walk straight out the front door, yes, the front lawn's in front of me.
And when you were walking out, the black SUV was gone, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And when you first came out of the house facing that front lawn, you didn't see a black baseball cap, correct?
That's correct.
Or a black sneaker, correct?
That's correct.
Or 45 pieces of red plastic taillight, correct?
That's correct.
Or even one, correct?
That's correct.
And once again, you didn't see a 6'2" man lying on the front lawn, correct?
No, I wish I did, but I didn't.
See that extra bullshit right there? Because he's trying to say that he was there. He was. That's insinuating that he was there. And I wish that I would have. It's not insinuating that like no, because he wasn't there. Okay, which is really important for Karen Reid's timeline. So fucking no way I'm clipping his nuts right there. I didn't ask you if you would have done something. I'm asking you, did you see somebody? And you said you weren't drunk, right? And you walked past it a bunch of different times because you had to go back inside, which I'm about to show with the data proves that you walked back inside, you fat fuck.
At no point did you hear any noises at all outside 34 Fairview that attracted your attention?
No, there's music playing in the house, so I didn't hear anything.
Oh, the music excuse. Gotta love it.
Now, after
Music drowns out
at
people
the
getting
Albert
murdered by
Home
cars.
for
That's good to
time
know
early
for
that
my next
morning,
murder.
you left the home approximately
Just turn the
1:40
music up.
a.m. or
Nobody
so,
can hear you
Yeah,
scream.
give or take 140, 145. I don't know the exact time.
and you walked out with your wife, Jennifer McCabe, and two of Brian Jr.'s friends, correct?
Yes, Brian's two friends were joining Jennifer and I. We were driving them home.
And whether you knew their names or not that night, you subsequently learned their names to be Sarah Levinson. and
Welcome to the
Julie
channel,
Mason.
Stephanie
That's
1208.
correct.
And you all came out of the house together, correct?
Ready? Ready?
I
Yeah,
had to switch streams, Denise.
I don't recall who was-
The long crime was too laggy.
Yeah, when we
The
walked
one
to
with the
the car,
captions.
but
I
we
had to
all
switch
left
to
the
the
house at the
NBC
same
10.
time.
And directly in front of all of you was the front lawn, correct?
If I was to walk straight out the front door, yes, the front lawn's in front of me.
And when you were walking out, the black SUV was gone, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
And when you first came out of the house facing that front lawn, you didn't see a black baseball cap, correct?
That's correct.
Or a black sneaker, correct?
That's correct.
Or 45 pieces of red plastic taillight, correct?
That's correct.
Or even one, correct?
That's correct.
And once again, you didn't see a 6'2" man lying on the front lawn, correct?
No, I wish I did, but I didn't.
As you were walking out
I
with
wish
your
I
wife and these
did.
two other women, none of them yelled that they saw anything like that, correct?
Correct.
And then you all piled into the vehicle, which was in the driveway, correct?
Yes.
You and your wife got into the front, the driver's seat, and the passenger seat, correct?
Yes, I sat in the driver's seat. My wife was in the passenger seat. I had to brush off the car, but that's where we sat.
Right there, he says it. I had to brush off the car. I had to brush off the car. He's trying to. Okay, guys, ready? Now, making it so that he got out. He got back out of the car, right? So he gets into the car, and then I got out to brush off the car, right? Because I had to brush off the car, right? No.
The other two women who were friends with Brian Jr. got into the second row passenger seat, correct?
Yes.
And I believe your testimony is you don't know who was where within that, but they did get in there.
Yes, they were behind us. I don't know who sat in what seat.
Once you got inside the vehicle, is that when you realized that you had left something back into the house?
I don't recall leaving something in the house.
I'm sorry,
I don't recall leaving something in the house. I don't. If I did, I did. I don't recall leaving something in the house.
you don't recall going back into the house?
No, I don't recall going back in the house.
If you went back into the house, the front lawn would have been
Okay, because that's Sarah Levingson's testimony, right? Okay. Now, let's look at the data. Let's look at the data, baby. Let's take a look at the data. What does the data say happened? Ready? Oh, Anna, what do you got for us? This one. We'll go with this one. Okay. Is it sharing? Here we go. Now, based on the location data in Mr. Green's first affidavit, it states that In an effort to determine the whereabouts of Jennifer McCabe's iPhone on January 29, 2022, location data was exported into the CellHawk application. This program allows the expert to filter location data based on accuracy, time, and location. For this portion of the analysis, I only relied on data that had an accuracy of 100 meters or better. The following is a summary of location events from 1/29/2022. The timing of Jennifer McCabe's search for House Lawn to Die in the Cold has been added for reference. See right here, 1:47 and 17 seconds. See where it says accuracy improves significantly and indicates leaving Fairview? Now, if you're going to remember what I was talking about why something would improve significantly, okay, and why it wouldn't, is you can also talk about the fact of Jennifer's watch being with the phone. And then because you're going off of that watch data, it would be if the watch is if the watch is somewhere and the phone somewhere else, how would that affect, how would that affect everything? That's something just to ask. So based on this, at 1:47 and 17 seconds, accuracy improves significantly and indicates leaving Fairview. So with that, when then you go here to, now I want you to take a look at right here, the iPhone. Oh, right before it, the watch. Okay, at 1:36 and 36 seconds, 302 steps between 1:36 and 1:44. Jennifer McCabe's making these steps. And I said to myself, what the fuck is she doing? What the fuck is she doing? Well, I can't find my phone. Where's my phone? So I started looking all over for it. That's what it looks like to me that she's doing. She can't find her phone. So from 1:36 and 36 seconds to 1:44, she's for 7 minutes and 87 seconds, or 302 steps during the 7 minutes. Then you see here where the next, it says 1:44. Basically, look at right before she stops moving here. See that? So at 1:44 and 8 seconds, the phone begins to register from 1:44 and 8 seconds to 1:45 and 58 seconds. The phone then has 55 steps. Okay. Now, which would make it seem like, wait a second, well then, how is the phone moving past the time of the watch user? That means the watch is that means the iPhone is moving without the watch user. You see that right here? That's what this is indicating. It's indicating that Jennifer McCabe's running around looking for her phone. She can't find it. She can't find her fucking phone. Okay? And then Matt McCabe, who has the phone in his motherfucking jacket, gets out of the car, okay? Or, he puts it in, but this phone that Matt McCabe, if Jen comes back out or gets in the car and she can't find her phone, and then and she's like, I can't find my phone anywhere. So then he would go back inside to quote unquote act like he's looking for it. All right. Well, I can tell you this. Jen McCabe gets into that SUV at 1:44 and 28 seconds. So the watch stops. Now, do you see all these inputs? iPhone, 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 iPhone. You see that? But the watch isn't moving. So it stops, which is, I'm going to go back to this to make it bigger here. At 1:44 a.m. and 28 seconds, Jen's watch stops moving and does not move again until 2:13 and 6 seconds. This means that Jennifer McCabe is not moving. She's in the SUV. She has to be in that SUV by 1:44 and 28 seconds. Has to be, no doubt about it. She does not move again until 2:13 and 6 seconds. But during this time frame here, the phone moves. The phone is taking steps. The phone, iPhone. So you go over here and you're going to see, okay, wow, 1:44 and 8 seconds to 1:45 and 58 seconds. 55. Then somebody gets out of the vehicle. 1:55 and 34 seconds, 1:57 and 44 seconds. And it was not Jennifer. It was not Jennifer. It was somebody else that has her phone, because then they move. This is why I think it's in his pocket. Matt McCabe gets out of the vehicle at 1:55 when he's supposed to be driving these people home, right? So he's taking these people home. And this is what they're claiming is happening. He's supposed to be taking these people home. Well, why is Matt getting out of the vehicle? Why is anybody who has Jennifer McCabe's phone walking with it? Okay. At 1:55 and 34 seconds. Now think about where Higgins is at. Think about Higgins. And it's just 16 steps. Okay. 1:55, 1:57, 16 steps. Then 40 steps will start taking with the phone. Again, the phone is going to make movements first. 2:13 and 6 seconds begins the phone getting out of the car at the residence. But look at Jennifer McCabe does not start moving until 13 seconds after. Whoever had her phone in the pocket of their jacket. And because I think Matt McCabe was like, I went back in there and tried to even find it. We'll come back here tomorrow. Okay, we can't find the phone. Like, do you need it? Like, we'll just come back tomorrow, like whatever. But like for Jen to be running around for 300 steps the 10 minutes before they're about to leave, she's looking for something. That's what I would be doing. But I'll tell you this, guys, she doesn't go downstairs and she doesn't go upstairs because she never registers a set of when she was trying to go look for her device is clearly what it looks like to me. She never goes downstairs to then come back up to register a flight, and she never goes upstairs. Matt had her phone, okay, and didn't want, in my personal opinion, okay, or the phone could have been left in a different vehicle if they went somewhere. But bottom line is that this phone is not moving with the watch wearer. Okay. Now, I'm proving here to show you that the phone moves first to get out of the vehicle. 2:13 and 20 seconds, then Jen begins to move. Okay. And then this is them. Well, the phone, see the phone right here? It does not move again. After it stops moving at 2:14 and 3 seconds. You see that? Because it's put into when you walk into the house. Let me go back to this. It's put into a drawer. It's hidden. It's hidden from Jen. Okay? And it's from homie's right here. At 2:03, makes a right turn on Lawrence. This is the turn before Pleasant Street, which intersects with John O'Keefe's residence. 2:04, located at Leonard Way. 2:12, arrives at Jen McCabe's residence. And then this phone takes steps and then never takes steps again after 2:14 and 20 seconds. 2:14 and 20 seconds, this phone never registers another step until the morning at 5:38. So see this? Watch. So iPhone, 2:14 and 3 seconds, never makes. And that means it's on the first level, never goes up the stairs. And how do you know this again? Well, because we went to the data and I was like, holy shit. But Jen McCabe goes the fuck upstairs because the watch goes upstairs, but the phone doesn't go with it. And I was like, oh my God, I knew it. Maddie did all this, but I need to be able to prove it. And this is the proof. Maddie, you've been a bad boy. So, but her phone, 144 and 8, it moves. It moves. 2:13 and 6 seconds to 2:13 and 20 seconds. Phone walking without watch until 2:13 and 20 seconds. Then 2:13 to 2:23. The watch is on the first level. 2:23 to 2:31 a.m. Watch isn't moving. But at 2:32 a.m., watch moves steps and steps with seconds. So I'm going to show you then. Here we go. This is Jen McCabe's floors. So at 120 on 129, 2022 at 2:23 and 4 seconds to 2:23 or in 7 seconds, the watch goes upstairs. 2:23 and 4 seconds, the watch goes upstairs. The phone is still on the first level. This time frame is really important, okay? Because then, as you can see, I'll prove to you that, well, how do you know the phone didn't go up? Well, because at the 5:32 the next morning, see how you have the watch and the phone? The watch and the phone go together at 5:32 upstairs. Oopsies. So there's the 2:23. What should show with it is the phone should be with it, like how it is here for the 5:32 time, and it's not. And in fact, it aligns perfectly then with the phones on the bottom floor after Jennifer McCabe goes upstairs at 2:23 a.m. She goes upstairs where she will remain for 7 straight minutes lying on the bed. Okay. This is what Matt McCabe's doing downstairs with her phone. He then pulls it out of the drawer that he had hid it in. And the iPhone was then unlocked at 2:23 and 31 seconds. 20 seconds after she goes upstairs, he then immediately is getting on it, unlocking it, and stays in an unlocked position until 2:31 and 7 seconds. Where then he is doing the text messages were sent in a group message at this time to this time. Okay. And then there's 2 screenshots that were deleted at 2:26 and 37 seconds. Okay. Now think about this. People think that Higgins went home that night. Nope. Higgins is coming on over to the fucking McCabes. They're in this shit together. Higgins and Matt McCabe are in this together because of whatever they went to go do, to go pick up whatever. That shit happened. So these butt dials, these allegedly butt dials at 2:22 and shit like that. Okay. But then here's your big daddy. The search for House Long to Die in the Cold that was entered at 2:27 and 40 seconds. It was entered on the first level of that home while the watch wearer, still having her watch on and laying still for 7 to 9 minutes, not moving, upstairs. This is being inputted. House Long to Die in the Cold. 2:27 and 40 seconds. On the first level. During when the phone was unlocked. And while Matt McCabe is doing all of this shit, he then enters House Long to Die in the Cold. This is why Jennifer McCabe turned over her phone. Jennifer McCabe had no fucking idea what the fuck Matt was doing with her phone. Then the best part about it is that that phone remains on the first level and does not go upstairs. to be able to be heard in a bed with Matt saying, I woke up to all this crazy ass bullshit, which totally fucks Karen, because it's, why would this guy lie about what was transpiring that morning? You know what I mean? So 100% Matt Googled house lawn to die in the cold. Like, take it to the bank, cash it in. 1,000%. 1,000%. Because Jennifer McCabe is upstairs where she went at 2. Where she went upstairs at 2:23 and 4 seconds. Goes upstairs. Then the next time that she physically moves, Jen McCabe physically moves with her watch on, is at I'm going to use this. So says 2:22 and 42 seconds to 2:23 and 20 seconds. See that? See her watches because she's going upstairs. Okay. Then Dick Lick gets on her phone. Okay. So 2:20, then 2:23 in 19 seconds to 2:31. And where's this? Right there. See how it's the phone? That's the phone was moving downstairs on the first level. After she goes up, the phone is moving 2:23 and 19 seconds to 2:31 and 44 seconds because he pulls it out after she goes upstairs. And he begins to use it on the first floor. There's the iPhone. She's upstairs. And he's not like walking around a lot or anything like that. Like he has to make some steps, because he's working on it. He's Googling house on to die because he never thought in a million thousand years that Jen's phone would ever be subject to getting anything. But he knew that he could potentially be, because he knew that he was with John when they left the house, 34 Fairview, and went and did whatever, that his phone could be subject to something, to being looked at. But hers wouldn't have been. And this is why I know that John O'Keefe encountered Matt McCabe outside on the driveway, where he and Higgins were both at. And then when Karen's thinking that John O'Keefe's walking up from going through the driveway and walking up to the door or whatever. Now, whether Karen just didn't want to say that because they kept all the Higgins stuff under wraps, and Karen doesn't have to say a fucking word. You know what I mean? But what I wondered always in the back of my mind is why she never went up to that house. Well, the reason that she never went up to that house is because she knew that John had first went for a ride with those fucking assholes to go get something. Okay? Because these little fucking boys like to do their drugs. And that he'd be right back. But he never comes back. Okay? But she knows that he's not inside the house, but knows that he's going to go eventually back to that house. But she's like, fuck this, I'm out. Like, I'm leaving. But that's why she never walked up to the house during the time frame that she was there, because that's what I always wondered. And as a juror, I think that's going to be in the minds of a lot of jurors as to like, well, if she was waiting to see, like, are we invited? Are we not? Like, what's going on type of thing. Well, and then if she truly thinks, okay, no, I thought he really did go in there. Well, I'm telling you, the hat you must have saw was, well, she never says that she's ever seen him go inside. She just assumed because he's walking up to it. He gets in he gets in that vehicle, guys. It's fucking facts, man. This is facts. And then you want to play Nicholas Guerrero with his own shit. Nicholas, you testified that you could be going up and down hills over there, right? Back in that area, right? Okay, well, Karen's not going up and down any hills. Her shit's not registering, right? Is that right? Okay. So, but John's is. So Karen and John can't clearly be together when he's registering those 3 flights of stairs when they're supposedly in the car together. But John could be in a car with somebody else. Is that right? Well, yeah, I guess that is right. Over there in that area where it's all hilly, like you said. Is that right? And that's how you want to attack this. Then, as you will see, the phone, so at the watch here, at 2:32, well after all that shit happens, 2:32 to 2:33, 2:32 and 13 seconds, so just under a minute. It's like 50 seconds. For a 50-second period at 2:32 to 2:33, the watch, it's like if somebody's saying to you, if you get up to go pee from being upstairs, or ladies and gentlemen, but as you can see, the iPhone, like that's the only movements until 3:50 and 38 seconds with the watch again. Remember, Jennifer? I peed. I peed in the middle of the night. Okay. So see, 2:32, 2:30, 15 meters, 3:50 and 38 seconds to 3:51 and 37 seconds. And the only other alternative, which is amazing, is that so then look at this though, then 4:55 and 7 seconds. Do you see how the phone moves and not in sequence with like the watch not moving? That means somebody who doesn't have the watch on is moving the phone 4:55 and 7 seconds, 5:01 and 9 seconds. And this is proof that Maddie Bobatty Fofatty, during that 4:53 call, that phone's on the first level, nobody moved to answer that phone call. Nobody moved. Matt's with that phone though, down on the first level. Then at 4:55 and 7 seconds to 5:01, see, the phone moves before the watch wearer moves. Okay. And that's when the person with the phone at 4:55 that walked and started making that phone call to remember how he says immediately afterwards, when my wife got that 4:53 call, immediately afterwards, she's calling the people that, we were with or that he could have potentially met up with. And that 4:55, the phone is being moved and walking. The watch wearer is not, and that would be Matt, and he's down on the first floor where the phone's at, and calls Julie motherfucking Albert. Then the first time that the watch wearer moves is at 5:58 a.m. to 5:01 and 9 seconds. Do you see that? It's because then Fat Matt brought and handed over. See how they're stopping at the same time right here? Somebody brought the iPhone to the watch wearer when they made a couple steps and in progress. Lana, pay the woman! All on the first level. The phone still has not gone upstairs, meaning that your watch wearer is coming downstairs, okay, at 5:01, as you can see right here, or whatever, where is it at? Right here, at 5:58, 5:01. See how those are in concert then? And then look at, after she gets this phone from this motherfucking piece of shit, look at 5:58 seconds to 5. Next one right here. She does not move. The watch wearer does not move for 20 almost 25 minutes. Okay. Meanwhile, there's all these phone calls that are being made. Remember? Is that right? So the only way this is at all possible is when Fat Matt is testifying that he's sleeping in bed and all that shit, and he wakes up to his wife and all this crap. None of that is accurate. This phone is downstairs on the first level. He is not in his bed. He is not being awoken, and he was not able to then overhear shit. Okay? If he's in his bed. And so you have to, it's all about strategy, how a defense attorney wants to attack this. But I was hoping that maybe they can get an emergency. Like, this is grounds for us to get Matt's CDRs. Like, we need Matt's digital evidence because Matt is the phone user. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but I am a damn good researcher. And so here it is. Boom. These fucking asshole lying pieces of shit. But this is proof that they're, but Matt did the House Long to Die. Okay. And I believe they both spent the night, or at least I know Matt did downstairs, and that phone spent the night downstairs. Okay. And that Jennifer McCabe, her only opportunity to go downstairs would have been during that, 30 or 40 seconds after all the shit he did with the phone, up there at 2:32 and whatever up here, when the watch moves for its last movement right there. That's your only opportunity. Right here, I'm sorry, that one. 2:32 and 13 seconds to 2:33 and 7 seconds. And what I envision her doing is, either going down and you have to ask her, why would you lay on the couch? And she could say, well, because I'm waiting for my daughter to come home, because I wait for my daughters to come home. Or maybe Matt's saying that, like, well, I'm waiting for so-and-so to come home. This is, everybody can kiss my ass. Matt McCabe did House Long to Die. Matt McCabe deleted everything. Matt McCabe was running the show. Matt McCabe owns Jennifer. Okay, why do you think Jennifer can be a housewife? Because Matt McCabe calls all the shots, all right? You think that Matt McCabe is not a control freak. Matt McCabe is a control freak. Matt McCabe is the one that got into Turtle Boy's face, okay, to protect his wife about the House Long to Die. The reason that he spelled House Long to Die is because he was a nervous fucking wreck dialing that shit, okay, at 2:27 and 40 seconds. Meanwhile, Jennifer McCabe's upstairs laying in bed, and he is downstairs doing all that shit. He's a piece of shit, okay? He's a little fucking baby bitch girl, and he's got 4 daughters, and he's all up in the drama, okay? He's a little fucking fairy dust. Fuck you, Matt. Fuck you. Karen, rake the coals with this motherfucker. Love you. Happy birthday. Peace out. Mic drop them titties. Ow!